Why God sends pain to dark chosen ones. It's not what you think. Have you ever felt like life was unfairly hard on you? Not just difficult in the everyday sense, but almost like you were being hunted by life itself, trapped in cycles of pain, betrayal, confusion, and despair that others seem to never experience. Maybe you've wondered why your soul feels so heavy, as though it remembers something ancient, something buried deep beyond your reach. If that sounds familiar, let me tell you something that may shake you. You might be one of the dark chosen ones. And if you are, your suffering is not random. It has purpose. It has design. And no, it's not what you think. Let's begin from the place where most people are afraid to look. Pain. Real pain. The kind that doesn't just hurt, it disorients. It makes you question your worth, your path, even your sanity. You see, for the dark chosen ones, pain is not a punishment. It's a calling. But it disguises itself so well that most people run from it, numb it, or spiritualize it away. But what if I told you that the pain you're running from is the very gate to your awakening?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
We live in a world that worships light, positivity, joy, ease, manifestation. But the dark chosen ones are born differently. We are not here to just bask in the sun. We are here to master the night. The ones who are chosen in this way are not chosen for comfort. They are chosen for transformation. They are chosen for depth. They are chosen to walk into the fire, not to be consumed by it, but to become it. And here's the twist. God sends pain not to break you, but to burn away everything that is not you. The question is not why me, but what is being forged in me? Have you ever sat alone with your pain and asked it what it wants to teach you? Not to fix it, not to judge it, but to listen. Because pain is a language. It is the native tongue of the soul when it's trying to get your attention. It does not speak lies. It does not flatter you. Pain is the most honest teacher you will ever have. And for the dark chosen ones, it is the first initiation. You see, when God wants to awaken a soul destined for high spiritual responsibility, He doesn't send comfort. He sends chaos. Why? Because comfort builds ego, but chaos dismantles it. And only when the ego begins to fall apart can the soul finally emerge. This is why your life has felt like a battlefield. This is why relationships crumble around you, why you feel misunderstood, why isolation follows you like a shadow. It's not because you're cursed. It's because you're being carved. Let me ask you a question that could change your life. What if your deepest suffering is a sacred invitation to remember who you truly are? I want you to sit with that, not just in your mind, but in your bones. Feel it. Let it breathe through you. Because the moment you stop resisting your pain and start investigating it, you step into your power. Most people never do this. Most people are afraid of the dark, but you were born in it. And God knows that only those who have walked through the valley of death can carry the light that heals others. Here's the part that gets even deeper. The dark chosen ones are not just here to survive pain. We are here to alchemize it, to transmute it, to take the poison we've been given and turn it into medicine, not just for ourselves, but for the world. You think your wounds are shameful, but what if they are sacred? What if the very thing you hide is what you were born to heal in others? Now think about it. Who do you trust more, a person who has read about the fire, or someone who has walked through it barefoot and lived to tell the tale? Your scars are not liabilities. They are qualifications. They are proof that you've been to the underworld and returned. But here's the catch: you must choose to return. Not everyone does. Some lose themselves in the pain. They drown in the darkness. That is why the dark chosen ones must be tested again and again, not to see if we are worthy, but to teach us that we already are. God sends pain to dark chosen ones because he knows their potential is too great to leave dormant. He knows that ease will never awaken the beast inside you, the beast that must be tamed, not killed. Because within that beast is your power, your voice, your magic. But you must earn it. You must be willing to descend into the places within yourself that terrify you. And there, right there in the shadows, you will find the pieces of yourself you thought you lost, or worse, thought you never had. This journey is not for the faint of heart. And if you're still watching, still listening, then maybe, just maybe, you're starting to remember. You are not crazy, you are not broken, you are not weak, you are awakening, and awakening hurts. But it also liberates. Most people want spiritual enlightenment without spiritual surgery. They want peace without purification. But the dark chosen ones do not get that luxury. We are not here to float above life. We are here to dive beneath it, to feel more deeply, to break more deeply, and ultimately to love more deeply. Because the pain we carry is not just ours, it is ancestral, cosmic. We are the ones sent to end cycles, to rewrite timelines, to collapse illusions. And that level of power requires preparation. So if you feel like your life has been one long initiation, you're right. It has. And you didn't come here to escape it. You came here to master it. To rise not by avoiding the dark, but by becoming so intimate with it that it no longer scares you. That is when you become dangerous not to others, but to the systems of fear that run this world. Let me leave you with a question. What would happen if you stopped running from your darkness and started listening to it? Let that question sit in your soul. Let it echo in your silence, because in that question lies your freedom. The sacred flame, why the darkness you fear is the fire that awakens you. There comes a moment in every dark chosen one's life where everything they thought they were supposed to be begins to unravel. It's not a gentle process. It's violent, chaotic, and deeply personal. The relationships that once felt safe begin to rot at the core. The career that once gave you significance begins to feel hollow. The mirror no longer reflects someone you recognize. And in that crumbling, something deeper begins to whisper, something ancient, something terrifying, and something true. That whisper. It's not the voice of despair. It's the fire waking up inside you. We are taught to fear the dark. From childhood, we are conditioned to avoid discomfort, to smile through suffering, to chase light as if everything sacred lives only in the sun. But the dark chosen ones were made in the shadows. There is a sacred intelligence in darkness. It is not evil. It is not the enemy. It is the womb of all creation. Every tree grows its roots in the soil of darkness before it touches the sky. Every soul must descend before it ascends. And every dark chosen one must be broken before they remember their power. The darkness you fear is not here to destroy you. It's here to burn away what you were never meant to carry. That's the sacred flame. It doesn't just show up as trauma or heartbreak. It shows up as a divine dismantling of everything false. And that's why it hurts so much. Because we become attached to what is not us. We cling to people who never saw our soul. We build lives around identities that were never real. And then, when the divine begins its surgery, we call it suffering. But it's not suffering. It's a sacred reset. It's the fire that strips you of illusion so that the truth can finally emerge. Have you ever cried so hard that it felt like your heart was being scraped clean from the inside? That's not weakness. That's firework alchemy. That's the soul being purified by the pain it tried to avoid for too long. And I'll tell you something I've learned deep in my bones. When God wants to awaken you, He doesn't send comfort. He sends fire. Because only fire can melt the chains we didn't know we were wearing. But here's a question you probably haven't asked yourself. What if the version of you that you're trying to save was never meant to survive the fire? You see, the sacred flame doesn't just burn to hurt. It burns to reveal. to reveal the warrior beneath the wounds, the healer beneath the hurt, the mystic beneath the madness. And that transformation doesn't happen in a weekend retreat or a meditation app. It happens in the silence after betrayal, in the chaos after loss, in the nights when you are alone and no one is coming to save you. And that's where the miracle begins. The dark chosen ones are not sent here for ordinary lives. We are sent to carry spiritual codes so ancient and so powerful that they must be unlocked through trials. If you feel like you've been betrayed by life itself, ask yourself this: what if that betrayal was orchestrated to break you free from the prison of smallness? What if pain is not a punishment, but an activation? There is a sacred rage that lives inside dark chosen ones. It's the rage of a soul that remembers its power but has been taught to fear it. The sacred flame doesn't just ignite suffering. It reignites memory. It awakens the ancient part of you that existed before the trauma, before the lies, before the masks. And once that part wakes up, you can never go back. You can't go back to pretending, to settling, to shrinking. The flame inside you will not allow it. Some people will call you too much. Others will say you've changed. And they're right. You have changed. Because once you've met your shadow and kissed it on the mouth, you don't return to the surface world the same. You come back with vision, with clarity, with power, and with something that terrifies the world: truth. Not the kind of truth that can be debated, but the kind that lives in your blood. The kind you earned through walking through the fire and refusing to die. So I ask you again, what are you still clinging to that the fire is trying to burn away? What illusions are you protecting that are keeping you from your rebirth? The sacred flame is not a curse. It's a divine initiation. And only those brave enough to walk through it will ever taste the truth of who they really are. The divine betrayal, how being broken by life is the proof that you were never ordinary. There is a sacred kind of betrayal that only the dark chosen ones experience. It's not just the betrayal by others, though, that happens too. This betrayal runs deeper. It is the betrayal of everything you thought life was supposed to be. It's that moment when you realize the people you loved cannot see you, the systems you serve do not protect you, and the truths you were taught are too small for the vastness of your soul. It's the moment when the universe feels like it has turned its back on you. But that moment, as devastating as it is not the end. It's the beginning. The beginning of your return to yourself. To be betrayed by life is to be chosen for something greater. It sounds cruel, doesn't it? But only because we were never taught how sacred destruction can be. The ego will scream that it's unfair, that you did everything right, that you followed the rules. But the soul knows that rules were never meant to contain you. You weren't born to color inside the lines. You were born to redraw the lines completely. And for that, your old life had to collapse. You see, the divine betrayal is the moment God says, you're not meant to stay here. It's not rejection, it's redirection. But the redirection doesn't come with a map. It comes with silence, with darkness, with a void so deep it swallows your breath. And in that void, you are forced to face the one thing you've been avoiding your whole life: your truth. Your raw, untamed, inconvenient, world-shaking truth. That you were never ordinary. That you were never meant to fit in. That your pain was never random, it was encoded with purpose. Have you ever wondered why pain keeps finding you, even when you do everything right? It's because you were never meant to live a life of quiet desperation. You were meant to burn, to crack, to be dismantled so thoroughly that the only thing left standing is your essence. That's the divine betrayal. Not a punishment, but a process. A divine act of mercy that shatters your illusions so your soul can finally breathe. We often talk about healing as a return to wholeness. But what if true healing is not about returning to who you were before the pain, but becoming someone who could have never existed without it? What if the old version of you had to die so the real you could be born? That's the truth most people never face. They want resurrection without crucifixion. They want transformation without the tearing. But for the dark chosen ones, the tearing is the miracle. The collapse is the altar, and your tears are the offering. Let me tell you something I've learned in the ruins of my life. The collapse is sacred. The loneliness is sacred. The confusion, the rage, the numbness, it's all sacred, because it means something bigger is being born inside you. Something ancient, something holy. And that kind of birth is never clean. It is violent. It is messy. It is messy. But it is real. And it is yours. You were never meant to walk the path of the masses. Your soul chose initiation over ease. And that initiation began the moment life broke you open. The betrayal is proof. Proof that you were never built for the shallow end. Proof that your spirit is being sculpted by forces most people will never understand. And yes, it's lonely. Yes, it hurts. But it's also a gift, because once you've been broken that deeply, you become unbreakable. Not because you're hard, but because you're whole. So here's the question you must wrestle with now. Are you willing to let the pain shape you into who you were always destined to be? Not just survive it, not just escape it, but become through it. The divine betrayal is the dark night of the soul dressed in sacred disguise. It strips you of who you thought you were so you can remember who you've always been. And if you're still here, still breathing, still watching, still listening, then you haven't been defeated. You've been marked, called, chosen. And you're rising, reborn from ruin, while your collapse was the blueprint for your divine becoming. There comes a moment in every dark chosen one's journey when they realize something so profound, so quietly explosive, that it changes everything, not with fireworks but with stillness. It is the moment you understand that your collapse was never a failure. It was a blueprint. A sacred architecture hidden in pain, designed not to destroy you but to rebuild you from the inside out. And not just rebuild you, but remake you into something the world has never seen before. Something it desperately needed, even if it didn't know how to ask for it. You were not just meant to survive the fire, you were meant to become the flame. Look back for a moment, think of the nights you cried yourself into silence. The mornings you woke up and wished you hadn't. The days where you wore a smile like armor, because no one could handle the weight of your truth. Those were not wasted days. Those were rebirth contractions. Every collapse, every heartbreak, every moment of abandonment or failure or despair, it was all part of the sacred design. The divine blueprint for your becoming required the dismantling of everything artificial, and you were brave enough, even unknowingly, to surrender to it. Everyone wants to be chosen, until they realize what being chosen actually means. It means being stripped of comfort. It means being shown the truth when lies would be easier. It means being called to carry light into the deepest shadows, not just of the world, but of yourself. It means walking alone, misunderstood, underestimated, until that walk becomes your initiation. Until the silence gives birth to your voice. Until the darkness reveals your light, not the borrowed kind, but the kind that was forged in agony, tempered in grief, and anointed in surrender. The world will not always understand the dark chosen ones. We are not here to please it. We are here to change it. But first we must let the pain change us. And it does. It chisels away the masks. It scrapes off the illusions. It forces us to meet ourselves in the rawest, most unfiltered form. And in that terrifying encounter, we discover something breathtaking: we were never broken. We were breaking open. You may never get an apology from the people who hurt you. You may never find a reason for all the loss. But your healing was never about them. It was about reclaiming your soul. The collapse was the divine's way of clearing space inside you, space for power, for purpose, for truth. Not the kind of power that dominates, but the kind that liberates. The kind that walks into a room and shifts the energy without saying a word. That's the power of someone who has died and come back to life spiritually, emotionally, energetically. So now we stand here not as victims of our story, but as authors of our rebirth. Not as survivors of pain, but as alchemists of it. Because the dark chosen ones do not stay in ruins. We rise from them. We rise wiser, softer, braver. We rise carrying the codes of healing in our scars, the blueprint of awakening in our eyes, and the fire of truth in our breath. And now, I ask you one final question, the most important one. What are you going to do with the power you earned in the dark? That question is sacred. Don't answer it too quickly. Let it echo through your soul. Because your answer isn't just about you. It's about everyone who will one day look to you and say, "Because you didn't give up, I didn't either." You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are the storm and the calm after it. You are reborn. And the world has no idea what's coming,